So hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, welcome to our LinkedIn Live. Myself and Ottilie are really excited to talk to you all today about how you guys can turn social content into on-site sales with our new user-generated content tool. My name's Beth. I'm a Senior Business Development Manager here at Feefo, and I've worked very closely with Ottilie to help get this product up off the ground and live.
And hi, I'm Ottilie. I'm a Senior Product Manager here at Feefo, and I've done sort of all the widget related work at Feefo in recent years. And this has been our latest project, Feefo Social. So yeah, really excited to do the demo portion today and take lots of questions, hopefully.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ots. So just very, very quickly, hopefully everybody here does know who Feefo are, but for the very few of you who don't, our goal at Feefo is to turn customer voices into business value. So we provide the tools at scale to collect, display, and analyze verified customer feedback, delivering powerful, actionable business insights straight to your team. We also help millions of consumers buy with confidence every day. So today we're here to talk to you about UGC, so the new currency of trust. Okay, fine, but what does that actually mean? So it means that 9 in 10 shoppers are more likely to buy a product if it has photo and video reviews and content. It also means that by adding UGC to your site, you can increase your on-site conversion by over 126%. So worthwhile doing. Consumers in the current market of AI-generated noise and constant scrolling, they don't want to see more polished studio content. They want to see real, authentic life experiences. Like, think about when your friends go on holiday and they post a beautiful picture from their seaside resort or their on-beach sort of holiday. It makes you want to go. It makes you want to be there. Or, you know, if you see a model wearing a really beautiful dress on site, wonderful. What does that look like on me? I'm a tall girl. What is that going to look like on a real person? So that's what people want to see. But the challenges for businesses is, how do you get customers at that exact moment of interest? The answer, Actionable UGC. So it's about taking those authentic moments that your customers are already sharing on social channels, such as Instagram and TikTok, and pulling them directly into your buying journey on your website in beautiful galleries. And we're not just talking about nice to look at, we're talking about high impact shoppable content. You're catching them when they're ready to buy and when their intent is highest. And at this point, you're then giving them a frictionless path to purchase. It's moving from, oh, that looks cool, yeah, to, yeah, I'm going to buy that in just one click. So this is where Feefo Social comes in. It's our new tool that effortlessly pulls visual UGC from social media onto your own site. But because every brand is different and all of Feefo's clients are, ranging from big household names to singular one-man bands, we've built massive customizability across all of Feefo Social. So yeah, whether you're luxury travel or local car dealership or an online fashion brand, the range of widget options that we've built fit your aesthetic perfectly. We've built in really swish automated content rights management. So again, that verification is top place. And we've also built it to be really easy to implement, onboard, and change. So now that I've given you some context on the tool and the importance of UGC, we're going to give you a little sneak peek on the functionality of the tool, the ease of embedding it onto the website, and the benefits to leveraging that content in your marketing campaigns. So I'm going to stop talking now and pass over to the lovely Ottilie so she can share.
Thank you, Beth. So Feefo Social, I'm going to talk you basically through what it is and do a brief demo of sort of our key touch points in the setup journey for this new social first widget. So Beth showed us a little bit there, giving us some context, but basically what is Feefo Social? Feefo Social is our new UGC solution. And the idea is that it empowers brands to collect, curate, and also moderate while displaying this authentic content from customers, creators alike. It's seamlessly integrated with our Feefo Hub. So the idea is if you already access the Feefo Hub, you know what it looks like, but you would log directly in and it would take you straight there. And it enables clients to basically amplify this social proof and drive conversions by embedding this social first widget on their website, much like you would with some of our other widgets. I'm going to show you a little example of what it looks like. So before we dive in, this is an example in situ on a website. It's a mock-up we created for a current Feefo client who's currently onboarding to this new tool. But this is sort of an example of what it would look like in situ on a website. You can see that this client has opted for a shoppable gallery. So the products themselves are directly shoppable from the widgets. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about that when we go through the setup process. But this is just sort of an idea of what it might look like on your website. So now I'm going to take you through the sort of demo portion. So we've landed here on our dashboard, and when you get set up on Feefo Social, you will have access to this dashboard. It'll make a little bit more sense as I take you through sort of the other components of the tool, but you can sort of see the kind of stuff we're tracking. So tracks pretty much everything you can think of, or at least we could think of. And we have things like top-line analytics that you can see sort of up top, but we also have way more of a drill down as you sort of scroll down, which we can show you in a one-to-one demo. But we've got things like post count by platform, active users online, split by location, split by device, people looking at your website on their mobile or on their laptop, whatever it might be. Crucially here, just some very small call outs. We have our add to cart revenue and conversion rates you can see at the top. In the shoppable galleries, like in the previous slide that I showed you, we have the option to add sort of our add to cart functionality or buttons with that direct CTA. So you can see when consumers are shopping directly via the widgets. You don't have to take our word for it. The proof is literally in the widget and would be seen here in the analytics section. So right now I'm going to show you how what we build to sort of get all of these analytics. Okay, so here is our collection section. So this is where we collect the UGC that's going to be displayed, and this is where you kind of select what you want. So you can see on the left-hand side, we have different media sources. So you can decide where that UGC is coming from. You can select a combination or just pick from one. And then on the right, you can see the sources of the UGC. So for example, let's say I wanted to take Instagram content maybe we have a hashtag for our brand that we use, and that's the combination of what I'd like to build my social first widget around. So you would then select Instagram, you'd select hashtag, and this is where you can sort of gather the selection for your collection, which I'll show you in the next part.
Sorry, just to jump in, Ottilie. I think in terms of when we're looking at hashtags, obviously some brands know how much content they have, but some don't. So is there a way that the tool actually shows how much content you have available when you're tagging yourself or when you're using your specific hashtag?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's actually one we get a lot because sometimes we don't know, and it's not very easy just to see from our own social profiles. So if I just click in here, you can see that when you go into the hashtag section, those will all sort of appear below. So let's say you had this is fantastic for campaigns, for example. So let's say you had a specific spring campaign, will be different depending on your vertical. You're doing a spring campaign, and maybe it's, for example, we've got a loungewear example here, but it might be like loungewear or loungewear spring or something like that that's tied to your specific campaign. Right underneath the hashtag, if you can see on your screen, you'll be able to see the actual count. So for example, loungewear has over 3 million posts, or the one below it, loungewear chic, has 160,000 posts. So really, before you're creating these collections, you can see kind of the volumes we're working with. And what I'll show you next is sort of how you kind of filter through them, because you probably don't want all 3 million pieces of content. You really want to curate it so that it works for your brand while still being authentic, shoppable content from real people. So this is where we sort of come to. I always like to, when I've sort of given demos on this, I like to consider this kind of like our Pinterest board. If you've ever used Pinterest, you'll know what I mean. Everything comes through to here, and you can select, what you'd like to use in the widget. So a few call outs here, you can see where it says add additional media sources, that you have the ability to add multiple hashtags. So let's say you didn't want to just do, your spring campaign, you wanted to get all of your coverage. You could add different hashtags, different tagged accounts, things like that, to all sort of aggregate here. And now when it all comes in, we've got a whole load of content we need to go through. There is automatic moderation on social media platforms, and we do automatic rights management, which we can speak to a bit later. But sort of when it all comes in here, you then have the option to start curating and looking at what's going to be included in your widget on site. So you can do things like pin posts, you can hide posts, you can make sure that a post always appears first at the top. And what's great about this step is that when you're doing this, when you actually end up having the widget, you can see the interactions with individual posts. So for example, if there's one post that works extremely well, when you're refreshing some of that content, you've got some new content come in, you might want to keep a specific piece of content that is really performant or a lot of people use in terms of adding stuff to their cart. What we also do here is we can do product tagging. So the example I showed you previously where you sort of were able to see the product at the bottom of a widget, I'll show you again in a moment, but this is where you'd sort of do it. So you'll have your product catalog uploaded here, and you'll be able to search from your own product catalog and just tag items directly as they come through. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to cover. I think those are all sort of the key bits for this section. So next is the sort of curate bit. Really quick, I know Beth had asked me previously about how lots of clients ask about FOMO. You know, how does Feefo Social actually help create this for the prospective clients? And I think the key thing to highlight here is this bit's really about showing the real versions of stuff, as Beth said before. So if you're a travel brand, it's seeing a real person's video of the sunset at the resort. It's showing what the clothes actually look like on someone versus a model. And it builds that instant brand trust and creates this narrative that browsers really want to be part of. Because, you know, ultimately brands spend a fortune on influencers, but Feefo Social actually helps bridge the gap between the sort of celebrity versus the everyday consumers, and it proves that the product looks and performs like that in real life. So we'll talk a bit more about placement and stuff later, but now I'm just going to show you the curate section. So obviously every brand's different. You'll have different look and feels for your websites, different things you want to sort of make happen with your Feefo Social widget. So this is our curate section, which kind of does a lot of that. I think Beth said previously, we've got a lot of display options. So this is kind of where the customization happens. So you have things like layout here. You've got grids, collages, carousels. These different types work on different pages better. You've got some that will perform better on PDPs, some that will perform better on home pages. And we have a lot more information on how those should sort of sit in different places and sort of by industry verticals, which we can tell you a bit more about when we do demos together. But just some call outs here. We have things like the fonts being inherited from your website. So when, you know, the widget goes on your site, it'll inherit whatever your font is, and you can also set it. We've got our flexible layout options, which I mentioned. You can add in a social CTA. So if you see in the top right, we've got the follow us button. You can customize what this says, but this can link through to your social profiles. So if you wanted to, you know, bring people directly to an Instagram, to a TikTok, to a LinkedIn, whatever it might be, you can put that there. And then once you pull all of this together, you can preview it sort of before going live.
Sorry, just jumping in again, Ottilie. It is a question we get a lot, but I've noticed that we've had the question in the chat as well. So it's that question around, okay, for online retail, this makes a lot of sense. Fashion brands, super easy. What about those industries like automotive or travel even, where, you know, it's not a one-click buy, it's a different call to action. What does that look like on the tool? Is that something it can do?
Absolutely. So in something like automotive, that's kind of about high value behaviors. So it'd be content like someone receiving their new car or a point of view driving video or something like that. And you're sort of trying to push people from window shopping to booking a test drive or speaking to an advisor. And it's more about experiencing the product and that sort of final nudge of social proof. So this works across a lot of different industry verticals, but in quite different ways. So let's say you had a day experience at a hotel or a spa, something like that. It would be about like, what does that actually look like in situ? It's not on the website. It's, you know, someone's going around and filming and saying, okay, I attended and this is what it's really like. So yeah, it works really well for sort of different verticals. And yeah, there's lots of different ways we can do it, which is rather good.
I guess also it's that CTA on the post, right? So for those retailers like we've got in front of you, that buy now, add to cart, one click piece, super straightforward. But as Ottilie said, it's about driving those high value behaviors for those other industries where it's not that singular buy now. It's, you know, how do we drive people to the showroom if you're in automotive? Or as Ottilie said, how do we prove that what we're saying is a luxury spa event actually is a luxury spa event? It's about driving that social proof and then directing them into the sort of flow that you need them to. So yeah, the CTA can be completely customizable, which is, yeah, as we've said, lots of customization has gone into this.
Fab. So we've just got a tiny bit of the demo left. I can see a bunch of questions are coming through. So we'll just get through this bit and then we'll answer all of your questions. Great. So I showed you sort of what the curate bit looks like, how we can make the widget customizable, all of those different things. But before this goes on your site, you're probably going to want to see what it looks like sort of in situ and sort of as a preview. So we have this preview option. And when you get into this is before anything's gone live, you can have a look at what the layout looks like, and maybe you want to add some more posts. So for example, we've just created this apocryphal fashion brand just so we could sort of show you some content, what that might look like, but you might want to add some more posts. You might want to change your layout, do different things. So this is sort of where you would do that and where you would have a look before going live. And when you are ready to integrate, you have a page like this. We were slightly laughing at me putting redacted on this. That's our actual widget snippet. But basically what would happen is you'd have a page like this. You have a little widget snippet that you copy and paste. You can copy it, or as you can see there, we have an option to send directly to a developer within your team. And then you integrate that in your site when you've decided where it goes. You can use many different collections. You can have them in different places and they sort of do different jobs. But yeah, this is where that would happen. One thing that's worth saying is once, much like our other widgets, once you've integrated, and the code is on your website, any changes you make in the actual sort of hub environment will directly update. So if you had some brand new images that came through, you don't have to reintegrate every single time. You just go in, add those new ones and press save, and it'll automatically update on your website sort of within 20 seconds or so. I think it's less than that actually, but yeah, it's sort of simultaneous. So yeah, single code snippets, dynamically updated once on site, nice and easy to use. Now I know we have lots of questions coming through, so I'm going to Beth, actually, why don't we join on my screen? I think that'll be easiest. Beth and I are actually in the same room. This is always so funny, isn't it, when people do, I'm going to turn my blur off when people do these things, because we're actually in the same room. So we've got some questions come through. We're just going to have a quick look at them and answer them. So the first one that we've seen here, can we customize the look of the carousels to match our brand colors? Yeah, yes, you absolutely can. So we didn't go into all of the customizations because we're limited on time, but we literally have every customization you can think of. There are lots of different ways this can appear on your site, and we would make sure it's completely aligned with your branding, and we can help you with that as well. We think it's pretty user friendly.
I think so. Yeah. If I can do it, anyone can do it, is what I'm saying to clients, and is being very well received. So hopefully that puts anyone's questions at ease. Fab. How do we update the content to our widget when people tag us in content?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, so when we were building this, we actually had the option to sort of have a live feed, but we didn't feel that was sort of the most appropriate. So what we have is, that sort of collection section that I showed you guys, which was sort of the Pinterest style page. New content will come in there, and you can go in and sort of manage that as you like. So let's say you wanted to update it weekly, daily, hourly, whatever you like. You can go in there and you just repin the post that you'd like to include. So it is that sort of social first proof, but it's always with your eyes on it first, checking that it's stuff that you feel aligns with your brand and things that you really sort of want on site.
Yeah, definitely. That actually feeds quite nicely into the next question about what happens if a customer posts a photo that isn't great quality. Can we filter out the blurry options or the ones we don't like?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So we've built it so, as Ottilie said, your aesthetic and what you want to be publishing onto your website should be, you have full control over that. So when you're in the collection phase, or the curation of the collection, I should say, you can decide to hide posts. You can show only posts that you have pinned, that are the ones that will pull through. So you have full control over that. Equally, if you even don't like one particular content creator or person who's posting, you can stop that content from being pulled through to your collection as well. So you guys have full control over what actually appears on your website, and that is all done very seamlessly through the actual hub itself. So it's all very easy to do.
We've got another one here that says, can the widget be customized or added on multiple pages depending on what pages you put it on, i.e. one for a specific hotel or for a page specifically about an afternoon tea? Yes, it can.
And we would recommend you do that. So yeah, that's perfect. Different pages have different call to actions as well, right? So for you, I think, Nicole, you're on a hotel. So for the homepage, you might want to show more about the lifestyle and sort of get people engaged and wanting to, see the real life version of that. But when you pull them through to a specific afternoon tea, that's going to be really sort of focused around that one event. So it's going to be different call to actions as well. Go to buy this right now or book with us. So yeah, each collection can be completely customized. You can have a very different look and feel depending on the page. Again, your website, you should be able to make it look exactly how you want. So that's how we've sort of designed this. I say me.
Absolutely. Team effort. Okay, actually, this one might be a good one for you, Beth. What if your business model is not based on direct sales?
Perfect. So yes, it goes back to what we were saying about those high value behaviors. So for yourself, I'm not sure where you're coming from, but if it's like we said, an automotive, for example, you want to drive people to the showroom, you want to drive those inquiries. So that's what we would recommend rather than a buy now button. We'd have a call us to discover more, or come to the book your slot in the showroom. If it's travel as well, it could be directing people to a collection of holidays. So you want to showcase your beach style, your beachside holidays, for example. You create a collection that's purely about beaches. You direct them to your beach category page, for example. So it doesn't have to be a buy now. It's more about driving those high value behaviors, increasing on-site time, increasing dwell time as well. All of those really strong signals that tells the AI and the SEO gurus that you are a website worth looking at and that people like coming to your site. So yes, that would be how I would recommend using that.
Fab. This one, do you want to ask this one?
Could this be used for a travel agency who doesn't currently have much UGC, looking to boost on-site sales? If so, what kind of content could be displayed? Yes, great question. We're talking about this as a UGC tool, so people automatically assume that that's all it can do. But with Feefo Social, what we've built it to do is to be able to pull through content that you already own, for example. So you can import your own content straight into the hub, and then you can use that straight from there. So it can be a combination of both user-generated content, brand-owned content, and also, if you're looking at, for example, where are you calling from? So if you're a travel agency, rather than it being specifically about your own UGC, you can just do, beach, Cornwall Beach, this specific beach that we're talking about. We might not own the content, but this is what it looks like in real life, and we can pull that
for it.
And obviously, yes, you gain the permission from the content creator directly. But as we've said, that can be done straight through the hub. So it's an automated process, very straightforward. But yeah, just make sure that we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's, so to speak.
Yeah, if I just add two more bits in there. One, it's a great opportunity to obviously generate social content. So if you want to do influencer partnerships or things like that, that's a really, that's something you can set up and sort of have that content generated. If you don't want to do that, you can do what Beth's just said there about using content that already exists. But equally, if you're a travel agent and let's say you have a partnership with several different companies in a location. So let's say someone's going to Thailand, they want to know the top restaurants, the places they want to visit, all of that kind of stuff. Presumably you have those relationships, and there generally is social content created around those places as well. So that's another thing you can create. So let's say you were like, you're going to this part of Thailand, here are all of our contacts, here's all of the sort of social, what's going on there, and you can kind of pull that all into a widget so people can get a sense of where they're visiting and sort of what's available. I feel like we've got a couple more. Did you have any more to say?
Just to add on that as well, this is a really great question, Laura. So with the actual widget itself, you'll notice maybe you did or maybe you didn't, but on our version we had a follow us button on the top right hand corner. So that is another call to action that can be embedded into the widget, and that can be changed into an upload media. So we can actually embed an upload media button whereby the clients who are adding UGC via that link, they're giving you permission through that. But it means that the sort of widget itself can go from just scraping that UGC content to actually generating it for you as well. So that's another way that you can help increase that volume of content that you've got as well.
Last question. I think we don't have too much more time for everything else, but how do we find out more information and how do we request a demo? I think that would be with you.
Hi, reach out. My contact details are just here. So yeah, if you guys are interested in learning more, please do drop me a note either on LinkedIn or via my email, which is beth.marsh@feefo.com. If you fancy a call, I'm always up for a chat. So give me a call on 0203 657 3970. And yeah, I'll be more than happy to walk through the sort of tool with you. I can create a bespoke demo to make it actually fit for you guys. And yeah, we can walk through exactly what it is that you need.
Absolutely. And on the product side, all of my details are there as well. And whenever you have product feedback or any ideas of what we might want to do or any questions about anything, please come to me as well. We're very big at Feefo in trying to sort of bring in new ideas, and we are not so bold as to think that we have all the best ideas. So if there's anything you think of that you think we could be doing or add in, we'd love to hear about it, either through Beth or myself. And we really look forward to seeing lots of you have Feefo Social on your website and kind of bring them to life. Thank you so much for your time on this now starting to be sunny
finally
Wednesday.
Yes, thank you everybody. Thank you so much. Have a lovely rest of your day. Okay.
Bye.